If you didn't notice, James Comey, the former FBI director, is going on a book tour. He wrote a book about, everything that happened while he was in the Trump administration, the FBI director there. He gave one hell of a little tease in an interview with Good Morning America this morning, saying that he doesn't know if Trump peed on prostitutes in a shower in Moscow. So basically, this man of integrity, as the Democrats once said, and then they hated him, and then they loved him again. This man of integrity was kind of just throwing out salacious scandals, kind of floating in the air. I don't know if Trump peed on prostitutes in a golden shower in Moscow. I mean, I'm not going to buy his book. I could care less, but it's a good tease. I'll give him that. So the media is obviously covering that aspect. Him saying he doesn't think Trump is connected at all to truth and norms. So they're focusing on that. But I found something he said very, very, very interesting. And it related to the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Now, a lot of you might not like this, but when I was at the Young Turks, I said it as well. I personally, of all the things to be critical of Hillary Clinton for, I personally wasn't that focused on the email investigation. I thought it was kind of stupid for her to do that, have a private email server in her basement. I did think she was trying to hide things. I did think she was trying to skirt around federal records, protocols and things like that. But, you got the Clinton Foundation and all the wars and being bought off by the banks and big oil and big pharma. I didn't cover the email thing that much. However, when I did cover the email thing, I pointed out, well, if I did a private email server in my basement as a government employee and didn't follow government record rules, I'd probably be in jail. I think you'd be in jail too. But because it was Hillary Clinton, we don't need to worry about that. Don't need to worry about that. Well, Comey actually said something that leads me to believe that potentially Loretta Lynch, who was the Attorney General at the time, might have been conflicted in the Hillary Clinton investigation. I'm going to read this right now from the New York Post. Ex-FBI Director James Comey savages President Trump in his best-selling new tell-all, A Higher Loyalty, but also skewers former Attorney General Loretta Lynch for her dubious handling of the Hillary Clinton email probe. Lynch, wrote Comey, had a, quote, tortured, half-out, half-in approach to the investigation. And he said he even considered calling for a special prosecutor to be appointed to oversee the probe because of Lynch's ambivalence. Quote, but I decided it would be brutally unfair to do that, he wrote. A world-class FBI team had investigated Hillary Clinton for a year, and all of them, to a person, believed there was no prosecutable case. Still, he described Lynch's behavior regarding the probe as, quote, very strange, in that she rejected calls to recuse herself from the case while not playing much of a role in the investigation. Quote, she chose a very strange position, that she would not remove herself, but that she would accept my recommendation about the case. In effect, she was removing herself, but not removing herself. Again, very strange. But here is the part that I find the most interesting. Comey also wrote that still classified information could have, quote, cast serious doubt on Lynch's ability to investigate Clinton. What? Classified information that has not been released could have possibly cast doubt on Lynch's ability to investigate Clinton, which really means Lynch's ability to be impartial while investigating Hillary Clinton. Because normally it's the FBI doesn't really the FBI does the investigation, provides evidence to the Attorney General, and the Attorney General is the one that decides if there's a prosecutable case here. But Loretta Lynch wanted James Comey to be the arbiter of whether there was a prosecutable case here. What you have here, I'll read you a little more. So Comey says there's still classified information that would have cast, quote, serious doubt on her ability to investigate Clinton. He called that info a, quote, development still unknown to the American public to this day that in part convinced Comey to take a more active role in the probe. Comey added that, quote, the unverified material would have undoubtedly been used by political opponents to cast serious doubt on the Attorney General's independence in connection with the Clinton investigation, but provides no clues to the nature of his tantalizing revelation. The former top G-man also bristled when Lynch ordered him to call the probe into Clinton's emails, quote, a matter, rather than a, quote, investigation. Call it a matter, Comey quotes Lynch as telling him during the 2016 meeting. Why would I do that? He said, he replied. Just call it a matter, she snapped back. He said he believed she was parroting the Clinton campaign's efforts to dismiss the significance of the probe. Quote, the Attorney General seemed to be directing me to align me with the Clinton campaign strategy. Quote, the FBI didn't do matters, but he followed orders. Still, his grave concerns about Lynch prompted him to provide the public with an independent opinion about the investigation, a move that led to howls from Trump and the GOP, who accused him of circumventing the chain of command. Quote, I needed to visibly step away from Loretta Lynch and do something I never could have imagined before 2016. Having the FBI separately offer its views to the American people by making public my recommendation that Clinton not be charged and the thinking behind it. Americans, he argued, quote, needed and deserved transparency, and I believed that I had the independent reputation to step out front and take the hits. Yeah, the only problem with that, Mr. Comey, is you're saying that the Americans needed transparency and deserved transparency, but you're not giving us transparency. You're not giving us transparency. I mean, you said Comey also wrote that still classified information could have, quote, cast serious doubt on Lynch's ability to investigate Clinton. He called that info a, quote, development still unknown to the American public to this day that in part convinced Comey to take a more active role in the probe. Well, how can you in one breath say you did what you did because the American people needed transparency, but in another breath say there's classified information? There's classified information that you can't release to the public that might have cast more doubt, on Loretta Lynch's ability to be impartial. So just to give you a little history lesson here as to Loretta Lynch's impartiality when it comes to the Clintons, here we go. Loretta Lynch is beholden to the Clintons. Bill Clinton appointed Miss Lynch to serve as the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York in 1999, jump-starting her career with the White House. It isn't a well-known fact. Loretta Lynch was a litigation partner for 8 years at a Washington law firm that served the Clintons. Loretta Lynch was with the international law firm Hogan and Hartson, LLP, from March of 2002 to April of 2010. Lynch has refused to suggest her relation with the Clintons is a conflict of interest. Last Monday, Miss Lynch sat with Bill Clinton inside her plane for a half hour and said they discussed children, golf, and Janet Reno. Yeah, sure. According to one source, the FBI was on the tarmac just outside Lynch's plane telling everyone, including journalists, no photos, no pictures, no cell phones. Parentheses, does Loretta Lynch really get her own private plane as a government employee? There is some confusion as to who owns the plane she was flying on and used as a meeting place with Bill Clinton. So the important part here is this. She clearly has a cozy relationship with the Clintons. She was appointed by Bill Clinton to serve as U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, and she was with that firm. She was with a firm that served the Clintons for 8 years. 8 years. And she, she's then sitting on a plane with former President Bill Clinton talking about the grandkids and golf and Janet Reno while there is a federal criminal investigation into Hillary Clinton. Now, the reason this is important is not because I don't find joy in continuing to cover Hillary Clinton. To me, the sooner she's out of the news, the sooner I don't need to deal with her, the better. But it goes back to what I was talking about yesterday. I did a video on this ridiculous notion that we actually have a rule of law in this country, because we don't have a rule of law. We have three legal systems, as I told you yesterday. One for the rich and the powerful, one for like white middle class people. Occasionally they get in trouble, but most of the time they get out of it. And one for poor people, black people, brown people, Native Americans, that they get beat at, they get shot at, just for protesting. They get pulled over for a broken taillight and then thrown in jail for a year. I've seen it and heard it all. There's three legal systems. One for the powerful, where just don't get caught. And if you do get caught, as long as you keep the money coming, you won't go to jail. That's for the powerful, like Hillary Clinton. White middle class people, poor black, brown, Native Americans. So what's credible to me is James Comey is literally saying out loud that there is classified information that would cast serious doubt on Loretta Lynch's ability to be impartial in the investigation into the email investigation of Hillary Clinton. Why is that not a major thing? We already know that Loretta Lynch was trying to help Hillary Clinton by urging James Comey to call it a matter the FBI was looking into, not an investigation. And when Jim Comey said it's an investigation, Loretta Lynch just said, just call it a matter. We already know Loretta Lynch was on a plane with Bill Clinton. They were not talking about golf and grandkids and Janet Reno. Come on. Come on. The Brooklyn Bridge is near me. I got a bridge to sell you. And James Comey even said himself that normally the FBI doesn't give its own recommendation of whether someone should be prosecuted. The FBI does the investigation, hands over the information to the Department of Justice, the Attorney General, and the Attorney General makes a decision. But in this case, she was conflicted that Comey felt the need to do it himself. Why is this not a major news story? That at least one of the agencies involved with the Hillary Clinton investigation, the head of it, was clearly had a gaping conflict of interest. Gaping conflict of interest. So much so that she was urging the FBI director, just call it a matter, not an investigation. And the FBI director is literally saying, there's still classified information that would have cast serious doubt on Lynch's ability to investigate Clinton. He called the info a, quote, development still unknown to the American public to this day, that in part convinced him to take a more active role. Well, I, for one, am saying I want to know what that information is. Why is that information classified? This is not information that is dangerous to the country. This is not information that, could open up the United States to a terrorist attack. Why is this information? Why is this information classified? To wrap this up, you have the former FBI director saying on the record that there is classified information that would cast serious doubt on the former Attorney General who was appointed by Bill Clinton, used to work for a law firm that represented the Clintons, sat on a plane with Bill Clinton for a half hour while his wife was under federal criminal investigation. So there's classified information that we as the United States can't know why. Why shouldn't we know what that information is? Don't we need to know that to make sure that this investigation was on the up and up? Interesting. Let me tell you something, folks. If I or you did what Hillary Clinton did, we'd be in jail. And the fact that, interesting, the Attorney General, Barack Obama's Attorney General, we all know how badly Barack Obama wanted Hillary Clinton to become president, tries to push the FBI director to belittle the investigation, make it seem like it's not as big as it was. So do that. She says, call it a matter, not an investigation. There's classified information that James Comey said, for whatever reason, can't be released that would cast serious doubt on her impartiality. And James Comey found no issue. There was nothing to prosecute. Let's just say Hillary Clinton is a very, very lucky woman. And let's just say, as usual, if you got the money, if you got the power, if you're connected to the lobbyists, the donors, you ain't going to jail.